Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be my first attempt at doing something over on the bench, and I figured this would be a good first guitar to take care of, and I did want to just do a few shoutouts before we actually transitioned over to the bench, and maybe just do a before playing sample. And Brant, no, I didn't get that idea from my wife. So, this is my Ovation guitar. I will link down to my initial My Guitars video for this just so you can see and learn about the history of Ovation. But it is long overdue for a spa day. I don't know if you can see, I've got a little bit of black on my fingers. These strings have been on here for quite a while, but I also do want to do a full spa day and just check out the tuners, everything, make sure that they don't need to be lubed, clean the fretboard. I really need to polish the frets. It's been almost never that they've been polished. I did do a little bit of cleaning on the last string change, which was a couple years ago. I know. But it's got a few things going on with it in regards to the string change, and I'll put up a screenshot too, but I don't know if you can see on the camera. This is it doesn't string through into the cavity, but it strings through from the back of the bridge, almost like an old telly. And one of the holes for the low E string is starting to corrode, so it's starting to pull through, and I've been trying to figure out what to do about that, short of getting a different bridge and replacing it. Well, enter Jace Allen, and I'll link his channel down below. He did a review for this tiny little piece of metal. What is this, you ask? Well, according to the manufacturers, that is a ToneBar. What it is supposed to do on a traditional acoustic is you take the string pegs out and you loop the ends of the strings through here, and that sits inside the guitar so you don't have to put the pegs back in, supposedly allowing it to have better tone. I will link to Jace's video review of this, and you can make your own mind up about it. To me, it was mixed results. It didn't really seem to make anything worse, maybe a little different, but I don't know if it was exactly what they were saying it would live up to. However, as I was watching his video, that got me thinking about my guitar here. And if I can shape this enough to fit the end of the bridge here, I'm thinking I can put the strings on and have it carry the weight of the string pull across the entire back of the bridge. Remains to be seen. Worst case scenario, I take it off and just string it up normal, and I'm going to have to go back to thinking about what I'm going to have to do about that bridge. But I want to say thanks to Jace Allen for sending it over, because they had spares. He said, hey, why not? Give it a shot, and I'll send you one. And he did. So thank you, Jace. And then before I forget, because I'm probably going to when I'm doing all the work on the guitar, I just wanted to do a couple shout-outs to folks that you should really check out their channels for everything about the care and feeding of guitars, as well as just gear demos and everything else. But most notably, Ted Talks Guitars and Life is one of the first guys that I found that really started getting into detail, and I've picked up a few things from him. Brant over at Tone Jaeger, another great guy. You need to check out his channel. He's got a great sense of humor as well. Mansgearcave, another one, doing great repairs, great gear reviews, just a standout guy as well. Chris over at BCG 5150 Guitars, another one who, this is where he comes in for me. I don't have all the tools. I've been accumulating them slowly, but he's got great tips on how to make do with what you have. Get things done with what you have on hand. And then John over at Smoke Eater Guitars is someone who I started following recently, and he also does great work on repairing guitars. And then Avery over at Music and Gear is another one, goes very in-depth on everything about guitars that they review, takes it apart, walks you through the nitty-gritty. So what I'm trying to say is not everybody does things the same way, but between all these guys, you're going to find some info on how to do something that you're thinking about doing for your guitar. So, all right. Let me just do a couple of quick playing samples with this as it is, and we're going to hope that my mic keeps up with things here. And I'll do a little finger picking too, just to get different tones. Sorry for screwing up the ending there. For some reason, getting in front of the camera gives me complete performance anxiety. Anyhow, I will be repeating that once we get everything done and get new strings on it. So between the tone bar and the new strings, between the new strings at least, there should be something a little bit different sounding, but they're going to be the same gauge and everything. So, all right. We will meet over at the table in just a minute and we'll get started on this. I have no idea if this is going to be a multi-part video. It all depends on how slow I am and how many things I have to correct. And I am going to depend on the entire community. Please give feedback. I'm just starting to learn how to do all of this. And if you see something that says, hey, you could do that better, or hey, this might be a handy tool for you to have, please chime in the comments. All right, we'll see you at the bench. All right, guys. So welcome to the first lesson in being prepared for guitar maintenance that I have failed on a couple of fronts. I know when we left off, I said what I was going to do. I was going to spare you the time it took me to take the guitar strings off because I can't imagine that most people don't know how to do that. I mean, in the future, I suppose I can, but I also knew that I was going to be slow. So I also apologize for the view on the camera. My shop towels have been taken off already because my shop towel roll is acting as my camera holder. That's what kind of operation we're running here. Secondly, in the list of being prepared, always check that you have everything you need, which I thought I did, except for new strings. So those will be arriving later today. I imagine this is going to take me longer than I want to do anyways. So we'll get this part of things out of the way. And when I get the new strings here, then we'll string it back up and do some more of the work in a second video. In the meantime, what I could use your help on. So I showed you this bridge before during the intro, what was going on with it. Well, also this type of bridge, apparently the strings under tension like to embed themselves in the bridge, and I'm not having any luck getting them out. If anybody has any excellent ideas about how to get these to go through, worst case scenario, if I don't hear anything, I'm going to cut them off short and see if I can get something skinny and pointy and gently tap that out, because I don't want to auger out any more of the back of that bridge than has already happened. So that being said, we're going to do a little bit of work on the neck, and I'm going to try and position things as best as I can for you. If this were somebody else's guitar or I were doing actual fretwork, I would probably tape off the fretboard, but I'm going to be cleaning the fretboard. I'm going to be polishing the frets using a fret guard, so there's not going to be a lot of metal flying around, so I'm probably not going to tape off the guitar either. I'm going to be careful. It's my guitar, so if I jack it up, I have nobody to blame but me. So with that being said, I am going to just show you a little bit of what's going on here, and I'm hoping that you can see this on camera. I've got enough light, but there is a lot of funk on this keyboard, and I'm going to gently scrape with a razor blade. Of course, you're not really seeing that part of it. Let's start up here. I'll start at the 12th fret just to show you what I'm doing. Because you can see a few layers of gunk coming off of there. I want to do that before I try and clean the board, because I don't really just want to be pushing all that yuck around. This is from years of being well loved and played probably during madrigals when I was also wearing stage makeup, so there was all sorts of crap all over my fingers, and I never knew how to take care of that. Let me scrape another one, and I'll try and hold it up to the camera so you can see what's coming off of there. Get a couple more. I'll keep talking to you as I'm doing this. I'm not going to be that thorough, and I'm probably not going to be that interesting, so if this is taking longer than I had planned, I will attempt to figure out the software to speed things up. Worst case scenario, I will just cut it out. I will not cut out any mistakes here, because if I'm making any mistakes that I know of, I want you guys to see them and point them out and say, hey, dude, next time, here's a better way to do this. And also, just because I want to learn from this. So if you guys don't see me doing something wrong, I'm never going to learn how to do anything different. So, without moving the camera too much, I don't know if you can see, yeah, see all those little dust particles? That's all finger grime, all sorts of wonderful stuff coming up on the fretboard. So wipe some of that off. I am going to need to vacuum later, but I'm also going to spare your ears that noise. And I also don't have my vacuum hooked up. So I'm just going to start at the first fret, go through rather quickly to try and do this, and then we will do a little bit with the lemon oil. Well, Dunlop Ultimate Lemon Oil, so it was made for a guitar. That is ultimately not what I'm going to condition the board with, but it will work to help me clean the rest of this gunk off of there. At some point, I'm probably going to get better stuff for taking care of these. I did read for a finished maple board, which this is not, that you would want to be using lemon oil because that'll not be good for the finish. Plus, it's not going to get to the wood to help the condition or anything. So any kind of wax probably not on a finished maple neck. I just read that you would clean that off. I can't imagine that if you do get a bunch of gunk on it that you wouldn't be okay to do this with it as well. Wipe some of that off while we're talking. While we're on the topic, I'm going to be off topic all the time. On topic is not a thing I do well, especially when I'm just vamping here. I am actually seeing the grain on the fretboard again. I knew this was a dark fretboard. I did not know that there was actual wood grain under there. At least I didn't remember. Like I said, I've had this since 1980 something, and she has survived pretty well. There are dings and dents here and there, but the neck itself is in remarkable shape. There's not a sharp fret to be found. I will probably take the fret rocker after I get it strung back up because I'm going to set the relief once it's strung back up. I'm not going to bother with it right now because, like I said, I'm not doing any fret work because I don't have the tools. One. Number two, it already plays pretty good. Go figure. There's not a bunch of finger gunk up here where you don't normally play on an acoustic guitar. Fancy that. All right. Let me take a look after wiping this down and see if there's anything I want to hit again with the razor blade before we throw some lemon oil on there. There's a little bit here and there. A little bit disgusting to think about how much stuff is on here. And if we get the cloning technology down, what people could do with finger gunk from guitar boards, huh? Think we could get Eddie or Stevie back? Or would that end up more like a rock and roll zombie movie? All right. I'm going to put a little bit of the lemon oil on. I'm not going to leave it on there too long because I'm not going to be using this to condition the board. Oh, wait, actually, now that I think about it, we should probably get things ready to polish the frets first because then I want to clean off the board. All right, so let me get, this is something that's going to improve as I do these videos. I will probably take a page out of Ted's book and make myself a project scope and a list of things I need to do so that I don't forget them when I'm setting up. But live and learn. All right, so I've got a little fret guard. I have got my fret polish and some wheels for the Dremel. And what we are using today is just the Music Nomad Frine fret polish, which I understand there's other things you can use. I've actually seen a few videos since I've watched, since I learned about this stuff. If anybody has any suggestions for different fret polishes that are probably a little more economical than this little bottle or work better, let me know. I'm going to try one of these wheels in the Dremel, although these feel really, really soft. I'm assuming I need something a little harder than this. So that's what you get for ordering sight unseen on Amazon. Hopefully if I just do a light touch with this, because it's not like I want to be taking actual metal off anyways. And I hope that this isn't obnoxiously noisy for you. So, all right. I'm going to open our bottle of fret polish. Get a little on there. I don't know, do I need to use a whole line like that? Let me know in the comments. Or is it just a drop in the middle and then spread it out? Either way, got my shop towel ready. Now we get to see if Chris sends stuff flying all over. It's multi-speed, so I'm trying to think. Yeah, speed 1, a low speed seems okay. Now if I can manage not to... Woo! That is instantly getting the wheel black. I don't know if that's the polish, and it is also throwing the polish all over. So I'm going to suggest that maybe I use a little less on the next ones. Move down to the next one. I think we'll do 3 and then I'll wipe them off and we'll see if we can see any difference. They're not terrible. I did have some fret erasers that came with this kit that I think I used on them on the last string change, just because they were really bad, almost to the point that they did not look metal. But those fret erasers also left a whole bunch of... Oh, I did a whole stripe again, didn't I, Chris? Doof. The fret erasers just left a whole bunch of gunk all over that was hard to clean up, so I'm hoping this is a better option. These wheels are going to go really quickly. Thankfully, I have about 20 of them. I do not think these have enough give to do anything that I really want them to do. I'm just supposing that there was enough polish on... I might want to turn this up just a little bit because it's slowing down. All right, let's take a look. We will... well, I don't know. I'm not seeing a whole bunch of... well, a little bit now that I'm getting them in the light. They are better. Oh, they definitely feel better. All right, we'll keep going with this then. Especially going after them. Oh yeah, now I do see the difference. All right, cool. We'll keep going on this. I will try to keep talking. I will probably switch out things. I'm definitely going to cut this down to when I get down to the last few frets here, and then we'll clean up the board. One more, then we polish off again. What does everybody do while they do this stuff? I was going to put music on, but then I was worried about having something in the background that gets a copy strike. Not that I'm monetized, so I'm not worried about that, but I just don't want any issues that could affect my channel at all, or force me to re-record or force me to re-edit, because still working a full-time job makes this more of a labor of love and not so much time to spare. 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, those are actually looking pretty nice. I am going to switch that wheel out because that is completely black. And I'm imagining that that's coming from the gunk off of the frets. But yeah, we've got plenty here. I'm going to look for firmer ones next time. I don't know that I want too firm though, right? Because you don't want to start taking metal off. All right. It's a professional fret polishing job, but it is going to be a lot better than where I had it. Ugh. It's a good thing I do wear glasses too. Safety glasses would probably be good if you're having anything that's getting thrown around, but I don't have anything coming in from the side, so whoop. Speaking of mistakes that we don't cut out, that was not intended. Get back in there. See if we can't make that a little tighter. Wow. Yeah, oh wow, look at all these little hairs. I am definitely going to be in desperate need of vacuuming later. Probably before we polish the board. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, these three. So we're on the high side of the 12th fret. Make sure I'm getting any polish off the fretboard. Oh yeah, these. Wish there was a way I could do that for you in YouTube. The definite feel of this. This is going to be much nicer to play when I'm done. So thank goodness. Just trying to keep an eye on the time here. All right, so that is a lot of oxidation coming off of these frets, and I have to say, while not as shiny as I've seen some folks get them, uh, Ted being an example of some of the finest fretwork I've seen, I'm pretty happy with it so far. And anything that makes her play better is good in my book, because she deserves it. She has been a reliable guitar for me, and been through a lot. I mean, any guitar that can make it through college, that's a survivor. All right. We will throw Mr. Dremel over here for the moment. Wipe the guitar neck down. And we'll go over each of those frets just to see how we're doing. Yeah. So, all right. Because I also do have to, I'm going to be going to help out my mother-in-law set up for Christmas later. So I might get interrupted anyways. And you know what? Family comes first. I'm going to get the guitar cleaned up and ready for the new strings that'll be arriving later today. So maybe later today I'll record a second video, or Monday or Tuesday. It all depends, although that's a busy night around here for YouTube land. If you are looking for anything to do on Monday at 8 o'clock Central Time until 10 o'clock, go check out The Ubi. He has a fantastic live show that he does 3 times a week. On Mondays, it's at night. On Tuesdays we're loaded up. We've got Ubi doing the Tech Talk at 7 o'clock. Ted does a live meet and greet with us at 7:30. This is all Central Time, folks. And then after Ted's, he usually has a premiere video, which is always good to hang out and have a little extra time with the community. All right, I got myself some soft toothbrushes at the dollar store, just because I'm not going to apply a bunch of pressure, but I wanted to get just a little something as I'm going through and scrubbing with this lemon oil to try and get any more of that gunk off of there. And oh, pick up a hair from the Dremel wheel. And I think you may have just seen or heard my rabbit zooming behind me. One of these days, we're going to make a sub channel for that rabbit. All right. Like I said, I'm not applying a ton of pressure. I don't want to scratch the board. I don't want to. Hi, Butter. I don't want to damage anything. I don't want to make anything worse. I just want to bring out that wood grain and get any remaining stuff from. He is just going bananas right now. I'm also going to kind of brush the nut up a little bit here. It's a little dirty. All right. Now we're going to take a different shop towel than the one that we were wiping the polishing compound off with. Ted, you might have blue tape. I've got blue shop towels. I also have blue tape too, but I'm going to have to get more of it if I'm going to be doing this on the regular. I'm going to wipe off the excess because, as I've discovered from following a lot of you, leaving too much of this lemon oil on, especially if the board was really dry, if you let it sink down into where the frets are, you could end up loosening up frets, and then you're causing other problems that you don't want. I don't want that. I don't want to have to do fret work on this guitar, at least. I know there's a couple of guitars down the road that I'm going to have to learn how to do. But I'm going to have to get proper fret files. I've got a crowning file, a cheapy crowning file. I aspire to get one of the Music Nomads one of these days. And, all right, we're going to let this sit for a little bit, because what I do want to put on here after this dries out, although I've actually got to look that up, how long after using this kind of cleaning would you want to wait before putting some feed-in wax on the neck. Not to let it sit, but just to condition it a little better than this, and also bring out that wood again. So I've got that. I think one thing I can do, it's going to be hard to show you guys on camera. Let's see, do I have any extra? Oh, that's looking pretty. Do I have any extra gunk sitting around? That's not too bad. I think we did okay with the razor blade getting most of the yuck off. This isn't pulling up too much anymore. I just want to make sure that I don't end up with excess of this lemon oil on there, like I said, so that we can put the wax on. All right, neck is looking good. Let me see if while we're waiting, I can flip this over. This is one thing too, with a Ovation guitar with this rounded bowl back. It is not the easiest thing in the world to work on with it facing down. I'm going to see if I can turn you guys to look at the bowl, because what I will do while we're waiting for the neck to finish, and we'll wipe it down one more time before I try and apply the wax. Let's get the cap back on our Dunlop fretboard oil. Courtesy of our friends over at BCG 5150, thanks Chris. This is a glass cleaner that is the important part being ammonia free. You don't want ammonia anywhere near a guitar finish of any kind, but with this back being what it is, I thought I could take a little bit of the scrubbing there, and I've got a purple brush for this type of stuff. The blue brush is going to remain for the lemon oil, unless I decide that I'm going to actually clean those out, but I just want to make sure I don't mix anything. So making sure that I wasn't getting anything in my output jack there. This was actually pretty clean because I do tend to dust things pretty regularly. Living in an old, drafty house with furry animals, you end up with dust and hair everywhere. So that's a constant battle. On the other hand, it does make me handle my guitars more often. So win-win, I guess, right? All right. Wasn't too much to do back here. I will, when I flip this back over, I will ask you guys another question, because maybe somebody can point me in the right direction for this as we're working on the guitar. There we go. Nice and shiny. Looking good. Can't wait to get the strings on it and actually play another sound demo for you guys and maybe not screw up the song like I did in the intro. All right. I think that if we're looking at OBS, yeah, we're coming up over a half hour, including time that I'm going to edit. I'm going to try and throw a little bit of... Now, you know what? I think we're going to do that when we come back. I want to let that lemon oil sit. I don't want to get lemon oil mixed with feed-in wax and have that be a problem. So this is where we're going to sit until next time, guys. And thank you for coming along for the ride. We'll have another intro. I'll probably do some kind of outro with my face here because just talking to this is, I realize, not the greatest thing. I am working on my video setup, but that, folks, takes time and money. So for future vids, hopefully we're going to see a definite improvement in production value if I can figure out how to do the proper multicam setup and also get the stuff that I need to, because with my limited space here, let's take you for a tour. Hi, guys. So my limited space, you can see one of the furry inmates back there. The other furry inmate is over there. Say hi, Butter. But this is my setup. I have a folding table, work with what you got, right, Chris? In a very limited space, because there's our front door, doorway to the living room, pardon the mess, and my studio over there, my quote-unquote studio. As Ted would say, it's just a porch, but that's where we are. So, all right, guys, until next time, thank you very much, and we'll see if anybody can give me any suggestions on getting, the other thing, getting rid of those strings down there would be helpful. The other question I have, somewhere along the way, my volume button fell off. It was held on by a little screw. I thought I had it in the case. That does not seem to be the case. And if anybody has any ideas where we can find a volume button for an Ovation 4861 or similar, I would be in your debt. So now, thanks again, and until next time, appreciate you all.